Okay, the first technique we're going to do is how to create eyelets on the Bond. I'm going to close edge cast on 20 needles. I'm doing an E-wrap. I'll try to keep my body out of the way so that you can all see what I'm doing. E-wrap all, 20 needles. Okay, and then hang your hem. Make sure all your latches are open, and hang your ravel cord, or if you're using elastic, hang that just like you would for anything else. We'll make a little sample here. Okay, push it back against the bed. I usually cast on using forward working position. There we go, that's better. Make sure all your latches are open again. Push the needle back to forward working position. Okay, knit that first row a little slowly, not too fast. This is with a key plate 3. Okay, now knit 4 more rows. Okay, to create an eyelet is very easy. Decide where you want your eyelets to be. Release that stitch onto a single prong tool. Move it over one needle to the right or to the left. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to go to the right. Do that all the way across the row, everywhere that you want an eyelet. Now those empty needles you just took the stitch off of, move them forward and open the latch, and then move them back to working position, even with the rest of the needles. Knit this next row very slowly. The open loop of the yarn should catch on that empty needle. And I've just created 3 eyelet holes. Okay, let's knit 2 more rows and do that one more time. Okay, decide where you want your eyelets. Release that stitch onto a single prong tool. Move it over to the adjacent needle, either on the right or the left. Move those empty needles forward, open the latches, and move them to working position. The latches must be open or you're not going to catch that loop of yarn on the empty needle. Now, if for some reason you don't catch the loop of yarn, you can grab it after you've knit the row and put it on the empty needle. Okay? And then you knit a couple more rows and keep going. That's how you create an eyelet. Okay, now we're going to review short rowing. I think the easiest way to practice short rowing is to make socks, but today we'll work on our same sample we've been working on that we created the eyelets. You use short rowing to shape your knitting around a neckline, maybe add a dart, or like on a sock to shape your heels and toes. It is very simple. I'm going to use a contrasting color of yarn against the white so that you can see area that we do our short row shaping on very clearly. We're going to start by knitting one row in this burgundy yarn. I'm using a second carriage. Normally you wouldn't do that. I'm just doing this so that you can see. Now I'm going to move one needle forward on the left side of my knitting. And I'm going to do that every single row. I move it all the way forward to holding position. Keep doing this until you've done all. Okay, keep doing this until you've pushed all of your needles into the hold position. You may need to add some extra weight on the needles that are still in working position. It's nice to have lots of these little clip weights or claw weights on hand for this. Keep going. It is so easy. Move your weight so you don't drop any stitches. Whoops. Almost dropped one. I should take my own advice. Okay. Now that you've short rowed all your needles, move them all back to forward working position. Make sure all of your latches are open or you're going to drop a stitch and just mess up all that work you just did. And we're going to knit the next full row in the white yarn. I'm going to knit 2 more rows. You see how we've created a wedge in the fabric? That's short row shaping. Now we're going to create a wedge going the other way so that our sample is still square. So I'm going to knit 1 more row so I can have my carriage on the left. Now I'm going to start my shaping from the right side. I'm going to knit 1 row in the red and push this first needle on the right side to holding position. Knit another row, push the needle on the right side to holding position. Another row, needle on the right side to holding position, and keep doing that all the way across your row. Okay, we're going to need our weight again. Short rowing to create circles, like the round baby blanket that's being passed around on the Bond list on the internet. You can make sock heels and toes. You can add a little extra room in the bust line in a sweater if you have a lady with a fuller bust. Oops, let's move our weight. Okay, now I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to weave the cut end over and under the needles. I'm going to hang a clip on it so it's out of my way. I'm going to move all of my needles back to forward working position. Make sure all my latches are open. And I'm going to knit 3 rows. Oops. Now normally you wouldn't have this long yarn along the edge here. I would have cut it and woven it out. This is just a sample. But normally you wouldn't want to do that. Okay? And that's the basics of short row shaping. Okay, now I'm going to try to show you the basics of tuck stitches. I do have 301 knitting hints and tips over here behind the machine so that I can make sure I don't give you any incorrect information. You may be able to get this book from Leanne at Knitting Today. If you don't already have it, it is a great little book. Very useful. Okay, your basic tuck stitch is very easy. Decide where you want your tuck stitches to be. We'll put one here, here, and here. Pull the needles like I did to holding position and knit. On this I'm going to knit 2 rows. How many rows you knit will depend on your yarn and the pea plate that you're using. Finer yarns you can knit more rows. Like a baby weight yarn you could knit 4 to 6 rows on. A worsted weight maybe 3 to 4. Chunky weight maybe you'll only get away with 2. So I've knit 2 rows. Now I'm going to pull those needles and push them actually back into forward working position. Make sure your latches are open. Knit the next row slowly.